another episode of the adventure inward with more to life, MTL. Now, recently my wife and I, we got the chance to get away for a night and just kind of celebrate her birthday. And that was awesome. You know, just a chance to get away, to just soak it up, and to enjoy each other, and of course, to talk. And we were talking, and one of the things that I was thinking about was just how I was able to get, my first dose of the vaccine. And it was literally the next day that I met with my therapist. And my therapist said, "Oh my gosh, you got your first dose of the vaccine. So how was that experience?" So I was telling Anne about the experience, and I was remembering at the same time that my counselor therapist, had asked me about my experience. And I guess I kind of wanted to share it with you guys, and also pull in some other threads from that trip with Anne. Anyway, got my first dose of the vaccine. I'm scheduled pretty soon to get my second. And I told my therapist, when she asked me what the experience was like, I said, it was pretty good, and it was also pretty nerve-wracking at the same time. And she said, "How do you feel now?" And one of the things I told her was, I said, I'm almost ashamed, embarrassed to admit how good I feel, how great that experience has shaped my headspace, And she goes, "Oh no, don't be ashamed of that." She said, "I got mine like a month and a half ago, whatever, like 2 months ago." And she said, "I'll tell you what, I teared up, not because of the pain, not because of the prick, because of the hope that she felt in that moment." And I can honestly say, that my headspace is better, impacted, positively so. And a word that certainly surfaces is hope. Hopeful. I think many times at More to Life, certainly I've talked about this idea of being a prisoner of hope, and just being held captive by hope. And after I got that first dose, I felt it again, and it was a good feeling, kind of unfamiliar in recent times. But before that, as things are kind of easing in some places with restrictions, I don't know, I started to see these hints, these tiny glimmers of hope. I remember walking through my neighborhood and just seeing some kids out again playing together, just having a good time, right? And what it did for me inside of my heart and inside of my mind was kind of slowly lift me. Again, and it's that feeling of hope, and it's that process of being lifted by others' experiences, by engaging with them on some kind of a level, and by seeing something take place. Now, Anne and I, while we were on our trip, I've got all these playlists that I've created on my phone, and one of them's a throwback playlist to college. And one of the songs that actually is on there is by Creed, a band called Creed. And if you know who Creed is, well, cheers. I know who you are too, time period wise. But this song by Creed came on. and it was the song Higher. And I'm telling you what, maybe they're not your style of music. That's okay. All right. Maybe like you don't appreciate it. I'm just going to ask you to go listen to the song Higher by Creed. Because when we were driving on our way back from this trip, so I've had some experiences now, and like I've been seeing hope in these tiny little places and spaces, and I've had that first dose, and I've had this time away to think and reflect and talk and communicate, and now I'm driving home, and the song Higher by Creed plays in the car. And I'm telling you what, there's this line in that song that essentially is talking about a space and a place where things are put right, where things are safe, where things are good, you know, where things that are wrong have been made right. And then it talks about, it has this line that says, let's ask if we can stay. Right? I love that line. I love the guitar riffs. I love the feeling I get after listening to that song. The feeling of hope and moving towards something, forward, taking the necessary steps, right? Truly becoming not a kind of me culture, but a we culture. Now, you guys know that I grew up in the Christian tradition. And, like I owe a lot to that tradition. And I still really do consider myself a part of it. But there are these ideas in the Bible, throughout the Bible, of a new humanity, a different kind of species, right? A new us. And it's an us that has the heartbeat of the divine. It's a we that moves forward in the world with the love and the care and the concern and the compassion that is necessary to right the wrongs and to create essentially a new humanity. It's literally like humanity being saved from ourselves, right? And it's in this and it's in that same vein right now that I feel like I need that kind of hope. I need to understand that kind of community again, that kind of we, that kind of us that is rooted in that kind of love and power, right? I think perhaps there's a lot of us that need to rediscover that and experience that again. So, my feelings about my vaccines, my feelings that I get from seeing people engaging one another, the feelings I get by listening to that song, this idea of hope is quite powerful in my life currently. And I would encourage you to figure out the ways in which you might discover and experience hope in your current context and in your current story. Because I think it's important for us to lift one another and to lift our communities and to lift the world. And I think we find hope, courage, compassion, and love in that space of togetherness. I think that's where we thrive. I think that's where we belong. I think it's where we grieve. I think it's where we experience joy. I think ultimately true community is that kind of a space. And I believe that we can move toward that, human dignity and respect and worth and heart. I've seen hope so many different ways since my first dose. I mean, I've seen it through human touch. and hugs. When I look around and I see vaccines being administered and I see people wearing masks to help one another. I see it in the grocery line. I see it with people throwing parties. Yeah. Most recently, I had a really difficult day, really difficult time. It was kind of an overwhelming period, and I was home, and my middle son, Lincoln, was home. He was the only one home with me, and I just came down the stairs, and I looked at him. He was on his phone, and I said, Lincoln, can I ask you to do something? And he said, what? He's playing a game, you know. And I said, I've been having a really hard day, and you know, the one thing I could use from you right now is a good, solid hug. And he almost threw his phone down, jumped up off of the couch, and ran over to me. And he wrapped his arms around me, and I wrapped my arms around him. And we hugged for like a solid minute and a half. Which doesn't sound long, but man, when you're in the hug, it's a pretty good, decent amount of time. I teared up a little bit. He teared up a little bit. But it filled me with hope. It encouraged me. It comforted me. It supported me. Whew. All right. The adventure inward is yours. Get after it. Experience it. Settle into it. Be a part of it. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you again soon.